Okay, we've been talking about design here today, and I want to try to stretch your thinking a little bit to what some people have alluded to but not really discussed in a great length, and that is, what do you design when there is nothing, no thing to design? So namely, the design of services. We've already heard today that services are 70, 80% of the jobs in Europe, the economy. I've been doing research on Icelandic technology-based firms. 95% of them gain at least half of their income from services. So this is very relevant for Iceland. And so the question I want to try to talk about for a few minutes is, what do you design if there is no thing to design? And my proposition is that successful service design yields a compelling experience. And an experience, I mean, that's even worse than design. There's no definition. It's very ephemeral. It could happen. It may not happen. I mean, you're all sitting here, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're listening to me. It's that kind of thing. It's something that you really don't have control over. So starting off with some of the background for this, if we think about the phases of competition, and of course I'm talking about this as a person from business, not a designer. So I'll take you through a little bit of business speak for a moment. The phases of competition for products or services starts in the upper left-hand corner where we have the technological innovation phase. This is where a new technology is created or developed and adopted by the market. Let's think about computer mice. I'm sure you all own a mouse. Who doesn't own a mouse? Everybody has a mouse. Back in the day when this was the new technology, this was in the early 80s, I guess. First of all, there was the development, of course, of the mechanical object itself, which used to have a ball inside that if it accumulated lint, you had to take it out and clean it, otherwise nothing worked. But the most important technology that was kind of the cornerstone, or the reason why we have mice, is the ability to move a cursor on a screen. And the fact that you can actually move a cursor on the screen and the stuff underneath doesn't disappear. That took a lot of technology. So anyway, everybody started buying mice. Mice were expensive at the time. They were not ergonomic. They were ugly. They had first just one button. But people became enamored of the idea of being able to move cursors on screens. It just gave a new level of control to the computer. Then we move to what's called the improvement phase. This is where things start to become more reliable and more consistent. Like I said, the first mice, or the first mouse I had, which was on an Apple IIe, I believe it was, rather than a Macintosh, had one button. Then there was the 2-button mouse, the 3-button mouse. There was buttons with scroll bars. We've gone through a lot of basically experimentation with what's the best way to design a mouse. But nowadays, pretty much you buy a mouse and you know what the left button's going to do for you, what the right button's going to do. And that's because that we have created norms for what the mouse should do. So it's consistency. They became more reliable. The lint problem, for instance, was gradually fixed by going to new technologies. Next is the maturation phase. This is where differentiation is based on convenience. This is where we get first we get carpal tunnel syndrome, and then we get ergonomic mice. So we got larger mice that are specially shaped to fit the human hand. And as those became more and more popular and more accepted, basically now all mice are to some extent ergonomically formed. So what happens in the lower right-hand corner is, right there in the category with death and taxes, is the commoditized phase. It's where differentiation, quite frankly, is based on price only. So you need a mouse, and the only issue, is what does it cost? Because you can expect a mouse to do certain things in certain ways and provide a certain level of ergonomic excellence. So based on some research that I did along with my colleague Rögnvaldur Sæmundsson, we developed this concept of a possible speed bump on this way to death, taxes, and commoditization. which is the, what we call the symbolic value phase, where differentiation is based on experiences. And I'm going to continue with my mouse, and I realize this is not a service example, but it's, I believe it's a very tangible example that will help you understand what I mean. I was in the US last year for a conference, and I was, ever at the last minute, ever Icelandic, working on my presentation late the night before I was going to present, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I have a mouse crisis. My mouse literally dies. There was nothing I could do for it. I had the computer I usually travel with, which has a really, really bad thumb pad. I just can't deal with it. And I was setting up a diagram, something like this one, and I needed a mouse. So I jump in my rental car, and I go out to the local Target. For those of you who haven't been in a Target, it's a huge store, American store, that sells everything from aspirins to tires for your cars. I go into the Target. I know they have mice. I have seen mice in Target. After getting lost a few times and asking around, finally I'm in aisle, 39F, the mouse aisle. And at this point, it's late in the evening. I have a presentation to prepare. My sole purpose with my trip to Target was, I need to get a mouse, fast. A mouse is a mouse. I don't care. I just need a mouse. So I go, and this is, last year. So the Icelandic krona, as we've all talked about today, is not the best thing to have in your pocket. So I also had the objective of buying something for not a lot of money. So there's aisle 39F, the mice. I quickly zero in on the laptop mice, the smaller mice, and I quickly scan the prices. There's $19.99 and there's $29.99. Okay, $19.99, that's me. I look at the mice. Okay, what do I want here? I want cordless. What's cordless? And all of a sudden my eye strays, like it never should, to the $29.99 area. What are they offering? All of a sudden the urgency slows down a bit. I wonder what you get for an extra $10 in a mouse. And I look at this display of mice from Logitech, and see, the brand is completely by the way here. And they had a lot of mice, like this one. This is the mouse I bought. They were in different colors, which is, they were all available in colors. But they not only had different colors, but they also had different patterns on the front. Now this is interesting, color and pattern. So all of a sudden I shift from my target-oriented, get it for as little money as possible and do it quickly mode into quiet introspection. And I start thinking about, now if I were picking one of, still haven't made the commitment to spend the extra $10 plus tax. But I'm thinking, if I were picking one of these mice, which one of them would I pick? Which one of them says Marina? And all of a sudden, complete mind shift, start thinking about, well, what would I like my life to be? Who would I like to think people to think I am? And I had these wonderful 5 minutes there on aisle 39F in Target, picking out, a mouse in my favorite color, and that has a pattern, which for those of you who can see it, probably not nobody, is kind of like the pattern of a pebble falling in a calm pool of water. So kind of zen, kind of peaceful, kind of a life where I don't have to rush out to Target to get a mouse almost in the middle of the night. So I walked out of there with $29.99 plus tax instead of $19.99 plus tax. And it was money well spent because I got that little bit of time of introspection. Now think about it. The people at Logitech who designed these mice, were they thinking about this? Were they thinking about this possibility, this 39F aisle possibility? I don't know. I hope they were. But think about all the other people who also went to Target and did not get the 10-minute bonus. So like I say, the whole creation of experience is very, very ephemeral. It may not happen, but you can still think about it. No discussion of experience is legal unless Pine and Gilmore are mentioned. And they came up with the idea of the experience economy. And basically their model looks like this. In the lower left-hand corner, you had the extraction of commodities. This is like pumping oil from the ground. There is a market price, We all know about the market price of oil. We here in Iceland at least, we know whether it's going up or down, and we look at the gas stations to see if it's being reflected. There's really no differentiation. I'm not a petroleum engineer, so I'm not sure if there's really a difference between what you pump out of the ground in Texas or what you pump out of the ground in Egypt. I just don't know. But the differentiation is not huge. Then we go up to manufacturing products. This is where you create, fuel for cars, and you create the Super H fuel and you brand it Shell or something. I don't know anything about fuels. You get a little more opportunity for premium pricing. You get a little more opportunity for differentiation. Then you go up to delivering services. This is the gas station, ranging all the way from the self-service gas station, where it's just between you and the pump and your credit card, to the full-service gas station, where you can also buy something to eat, and there's a human being who you can talk to if the pump or the credit card doesn't work. But basically, they're all delivering the same service at different prices. They differentiate depending on how much service they're delivering. And they can do various things to make, gas stations are different. Yeah, it depends who's running them and where and so on. And then at the top is staging experiences. And this is where buying gasoline from your car becomes poetic, okay? I don't know what that looks like. This is a thought exercise you can take home. What would it take to make buying gas poetry? Now, what I want to tell you about now is a company I've been working with in Birmingham, in the UK. The company is called Clever Cherry, very, very British name. Clever is one of their favorite words. Anyway, Clever Cherry is an IT company. This is not a design company. This is an IT company. What they do is they do web development and e-commerce solutions. Okay? These pictures that I'm showing you here were snapped yesterday at 10 a.m. From their 3 webcams that they have situated around their offices, so that at any time I want, I can go and find out, look, who's at work today, what are they doing, is something going on. The client space is back there behind the block. You see the sofa with all the people sitting. That means they're having a sales meeting. So yesterday was an exciting day at Clever Cherry. And they have done something very ephemeral that really works. And what the CEO has told me more than once, and I'm almost going to believe him, is that if they can get potential clients into their premises, into one of these sales meetings that you see over there, they will buy. Okay? They've never lost a client once they have them in behind the glass wall. Now, why is that? Well, I found out, because I spent a whole week there last September, and I'm going back this September, and I realized it's all about singing. Okay? Now, they gave me a little corner of one of those desks when I was sitting there, and I sat down, got comfortable with my computer. First thing I noticed is there's a lot of music here. Oh my God, and it's loud, and I don't like to work with loud music. Anyway, I got used to it, and I was sort of able to, screw it down a bit and get my work done. Do my meetings. I did a bunch of meetings in the glass room, taking interviews with staff and so on. But then what I noticed is that all of a sudden, for no explicable reason, all the employees started singing. There was music. There was undirspil, okay? There was music there, and they all started singing at the same time. And I, being a kind of rather analytical person, I just decided to shut up and not say anything, and I wonder if that will happen again at 10 after the hour. No, it didn't. It happened, an hour and a half later, and I don't know what controlled it. I ended up asking one of the guys, how do you decide when to sing? Oh, we don't. We just do. Okay, so it was completely spontaneous. Another thing that happens at Clever Cherry is that at completely unexpected times, somebody will walk around with a tin of cookies. And also, always in the afternoons, but at an unexpected time, a project manager will come and stand behind each programmer and pat them on the back and say, how are you doing? And I'm talking literal physical contact here. I wondered about that, but yeah, they like it. So there's something very spontaneous, but yet very deliberate happening in that company. And we might wonder, is it about the design of the space? The space is too small. They're moving into a new space this September. You know, is it the interior design? I'm sure the interior designs in this room would like to think so. It probably does have quite a bit to do with the way this is all laid out, with the glass wall and so on, where you get the clients in and they get this feeling for what's going on in the company. They get a sense for the vibe. They get this feeling that everybody's really happy when they're working here, so they must do good work. But if we think about this company, you know, they're ordinary. This is just an ordinary company with customers, good customers, bad customers, customers who don't pay, customers who are late in paying, customers who change their mind. You know, just the usual business problems. They have a budget. Now, they're not government funded. They don't get funding from any design institution or anything like that. The UK has a slump as well. I mean, we sort of like to think here in Iceland that we own the patent on financial crisis. Well, that's not true. They have problems over there as well. And they've had to lay off people, and so they have all the problems. They're a technology firm, so everybody has to keep abreast of the technological advancements. So people have to go away for courses, and so this all costs money. So they're just a usual, very usual. You could go into any IT company here in Iceland, they would have the same set of problems. Plus the Icelandic krona, which of course the people in Birmingham don't have to deal with. So what makes this company extraordinary? Think about it. Is it the interior design of the premises? We'd like to think so. It is the staff. I mean, if you can hire a lot of people and tell them, I want you to sing at 10 after 3 every day, and it's just not going to be the same as if you hire the kinds of people who will sing spontaneously. It's the culture. It's the management culture. It's the management culture that allows that kind of thing to happen, that allows that thing to grow organically. And it's a vibe. Very ephemeral again, very hard to put on a white sheet of paper. And it's a design focus. They do have a design focus. And everything they do, they actually have what is very unusual for an IT company. They actually have graphic designers, actual educated, real graphic designers. Not just programmers who can line stuff up on a screen, but the real thing. And so they have a deliberate design focus. So for those of you that do interior design, think about this. Next time you get the brief to design an office space, how would you design for spontaneous singing, you know, to make the company wonderful? And how would you sell that to management? So we've all heard the adage, you know, think outside the box. Well, that's good. Start by thinking outside the box, but my proposal is forget the box and design an experience instead.